everyone, I'm Metis Balaska and welcome to the stream. So, once again, I have to apologize for what happened yesterday. I have calmed down from that. I'm going to try not to let that happen again. And I did look up some strategies to help me make that portion the game easier. Well, sort of. I have been doing something very wrong, and I'll try to correct that next time. But for now, it is time for us to once again and continue the story of Persona 4 Arena. In Persona 4 Arena Ultimax, specifically doing the Persona 4 Arena story. When we last left off, we were playing Naoto, and we were almost done with her story, so let's get to that. Again, getting used to the opposite inputs thanks to Final Fantasy VI, and Grand Blue Fantasy Versus isn't helping. Oh yeah, we were a little behind Yosuke when we left off. Oh no, we're not. We're exactly where we were with Yosuke. Ow!
What?
Took half my health just like that. Jeez. I emerge victorious, but I don't have enough energy remaining to run up to her. I breathe heavily and look at her. I guess I'm run toward Zlabris in my place.
Sister, are you all right?
Suddenly, an uncanny voice echoed throughout the studio.
To think she'd fall so easily.
Everyone glances around, trying to find where it came from.
She'd provide more entertainment. What a disappointment.
As soon as the sentence is complete, all eyes turn towards me. I cannot blame them. After all, this voice was mine. The darkness in the center of the ring twists and squirms like gel. A face forms on its surface and hardens into limbs and a human-like body. The thing standing before us was, again, me. No, just something taking my shape.
Naoto-kun's shadow? Why?
I thought you disappeared.
I can't stop myself from being filled with anxiety. But I keep my voice calm as I ask it a question.
Who are you? Once you've gained your persona, you're not supposed to see your shadow again. That's what you thought, isn't it? Did you really think I had gone away? Well, too bad. Man cannot let go so easily of his weakness. I'm always with you.
No, this can't be happening.
My friends become even more disturbed. They certainly had cause to worry. Could the same thing have happened to them? Will it? I, however, did not stir. Instead, I suddenly understood what had happened. This thing's objective was clearly to cause us panic.
Enough farce. You are not my shadow.
I walk towards this copy of me, the real
I
enemy.
know that for 2 reasons. First, I was able to use my persona in the battle just now. One's persona and shadow are 2 sides of a coin. If you are my shadow, my persona should have been unusable. Second, you took control of Labrys just now. That's an unusual power far beyond the capabilities of a human like myself.
Hold on a sec. Yeah, just the push to stage 6 thing. God damn it, Escom.
I'm sorry to say you've dug yourself a deeper hole by showing off that ability. With a power like that, you could drive a man to extreme acts, which was the missing piece in this case.
You mean the hijacking wasn't just the work of a highly motivated crew? Rather, whoever we're talking to now was...
Sorry, mouse on screen.
It was Labrys's dark wish that we fight each other. But what if someone knew beforehand that that would happen? Labrys has a heart, but she's also a machine. Unlike humans, her memories can be tampered with. By using Labrys, you thought you could orchestrate the disturbance her shadow would create in this world. Your objective is, as you just said, to gather persona users, have them fight, disrupt their hearts, and steal their personas. That's why you're appearing in the form of my shadow right now, to confuse me. You're the real puppet master behind this case. I'm surprised. Very insightful of you, Naoto Shirogane. Quite impressive work. I didn't expect you to fight back this fiercely. Sadly, it seems things won't be going according to plan this time. But I'll make use of what tools I have to the very end. This is my last chance. No, more like a marvelous entertainment. Now stand, my puppet.
Labrys staggers to her feet. There's no doubt now, this is the person controlling Labrys. And she has yet to break free from the spell.
It's all worn out because of you. It shouldn't have much strength left to fight. But unless you destroy it, it will keep rising up and attacking you all.
Sorry about that. Darn it, no voice back. Labrys pointed her axe at me for a third time. Rather than coordination, I felt sympathy. The forced killing of comrades against one's will. I see now. This is the past her shadow had talked about. Yeah, she's probably already figured it out. Also, welcome to the stream, Z. How was your day?
Shirogane, you need to stand back!
Kirijo-san steps in front of me.
If we all attack her, we may end up destroying Labrys. But she's just under its control. If we can release her, she should stop attacking.
I glance over at Rise-san.
Is that possible? Alright, I'll give it a try.
Perhaps Rise-san's persona was powerful enough to do it. I think it's worth trying. However...
It's no use. What is that thing? It's not a shadow, it's way too strong.
I had a feeling things wouldn't be so easy. Out of options, Kirijo-san signals Aiga-san with a troubled look on her face.
Aigus, prepare for the worst.
Aiga-san opens her eyes in shock. A look of astonishment, not the good kind. But she quickly regains her composure and begins readying her weapons. She slowly aims them at Labrys. Realizing what was happening, Rise-san hastily interjects.
Wait, let me try again.
So far so good. It's raining right now. So I can't mow the lawn at the moment. Well, at least you get a break. And yeah, the weather's been rather heavy where I am too. But Aiga-san pays her no heed. Labrys is in her sight. She looks calm, but it hurts just to, it hurts just to see her expression. That's only natural. She called Labrys her sister.
Now suffer. Relinquish your personas.
At that very moment, Kirijo-san suddenly looks up. She closes her eyes. She gathers her strength as she had when she tried to establish a line of communication with her own personas. But who is she trying to reach?
Now!
Who is she talking to? Is there someone in here besides us? As I stared at Kirijo-san in bewilderment, it happens. Without warning, Labras freezes in place. The menacing aura that she had been giving off dissipates in an instant.
What?
Yeah, screw you! For the first time, I can hear her panic in the enemy's voice. Free from the power of the enemy, Labras's body collapses on the ground. Agason's weapons fall back into her body and she runs to Labras, as if all her pent-up emotions were exploding behind her like a rocket.
What the heck was that?
I don't know. I was getting desperate too. It seemed like something far away stepped in.
This can't be!
Had a nice day yesterday, though. I need to make sure the mower works. Yeah, but weather can really change.
It's just as we thought. The enemy is taking on your appearance and has no connection to you. Feel free to cut loose.
Kirijo-san's voice is full of confidence. I don't know what she did, but when she speaks so confidently, it's impossible to doubt her. I look at the enemy again, my face, but with a different expression.
Something I want to ask before I fight. What now? Why did you choose me? Of all the persona users here, why did you use my face? Is that all? Of course I chose you. You were the most unstable of the lot. Never quite sure whether to call yourself a man or a woman. Your indecisiveness made you the perfect prey.
Mr. Haggard, no time for your bullshit. Oh yeah, we'll definitely see that. We'll definitely see that in her story. I clench my fists, but keep my anger in check. After a moment, I nonchalantly tip my hat back on my head.
Actually, something I've been curious to know all this time. Last year, when my real shadow went berserk, I was forced to the sidelines. It left me wondering whether I could have overcome that other me on my own. This is the perfect chance to find out. I won't hold back an inch.
Yep, we're gonna have a lot of guns this fight.
Finally! Fight!
Assault! Go down!
What?
I'm a assault! Now is the time!
She is teching everything.
Stay down!
But you're stuck in the corner, aren't you?
Stay down!
Okay.
That was a lot easier than I was expecting it to be. Naoto wins perfect. Yeah, like that was exactly it. The enemy staggers and falls to her knees, her face, or rather mine, writhing in agony.
You're so cool now, Chan! I can't believe you could go that nuts on something that looked like you.
It may have taken my shape, but it wasn't me. I had no reason to relent.
I fully believe what I said, but Kanji doesn't seem satisfied for some reason. Kirijo-san looks down at the
You'll
enemy.
be coming with us. There are some things we still want to ask you.
This is fine with me. There were many twists and turns along the way, but I'm not displeased with the results.
Only Mitsuru could look at an inhuman being and go like, "You're under arrest, asshole."
It was good enough for this time that I confirmed you have the power to meet my expectations. This time, this is only a temporary form. I doubted there'd be any meaning in changing my appearance, but sure enough, it made for a very enjoyable game. I will see you in another guise next time. Just wait until then.
The enemy laughs and begins to fade away. Of course, the enemy simply disappears into thin air. Who was she? And what was her objective, trying to separate us from our personas? Unfortunately, I was not able to get to the core of the matter. But still, next time, huh?
Hell no! Don't you dare come back again!
Yeah, what he said!
The P4 gang are notorious shit talkers, aren't they?
Seriously, that was one sick bastard. Copying Naochan was going too far! Bad enough that it was in violation of my image rights, taking my form like that!
Can we have General Teddy back? I know I've asked this before, but can we have General Teddy back? Who am I kidding? General Teddy isn't any better.
I wonder if this is the start of something bigger.
Yeah, I don't think we should let our guard down.
Everyone's face clouds with anxiety. No one could have imagined that we would run into some bigger threat like this. But General Teddy has a hat! I mean, fair, that is an upgrade. Does the enemy plan to cause another incident like this again? Are we going to get more humiliating catchphrases? I love how that's the concern. Killjoy Detective. Am I really that bad? It appears like Kirijo-san has worries of her
My
own.
analysis didn't make it in time, but that was...
It's hard to believe. Then again,
With a strong look in her eyes, she swallowed her fears and comes to us as we discuss as who the mastermind could
in
be.
any case, you don't have to worry about it. It's our responsibility from here on out.
But it was obviously targeting us. We can't shrug and go on our way after that.
He's correct. Given that it's taken an interest in us, we must arm ourselves against it.
Of course, you should be aware that the enemy is out there, but there is no need to abandon your lives to pursue it. We will do our best to ensure that no harm comes to you. That is, after all, our duty.
What kind of ridiculous bullshit are they going to use next time? Oh, just wait and see. Just wait and see. I can sense that she is completely sincere. We all trade glances, but we eventually concede with our leader's opinion. We'll agree to Kirijo-san's offer. There are some lingering regrets, but we have little choice right now. Seeing that everything is settled, Teddy butts in and strikes a strange pose. We turn to look at him with a grin, and with a grin of pride, he kicks at the floor with his heel. That is his usual little dance when summoning the exit TV to get us out of the TV world. Kirijo-san's group is obviously surprised, and they look pointedly at the
What are
TV.
you doing with this ancient TV? Hang on, where'd you even get this? It's a Teddy Vision! You can get out from here!
This TV is our escape route? Can we really fit inside?
Ooh, are you a little too front-loaded to fit? In that case, I wouldn't mind helping you squeeze through!
Can we get General Teddy back? Please? I feel like General Teddy was less pervy.
You're even worse than before, you know that?
We all pass through Teddy's TV and make it back to the real world. Of course, Kirijo-san is a bit flustered to find herself in the middle of a department store. Labras looks slightly lonely, but she follows Kirijo-san by her own free will. There shouldn't be anything to worry about. Remembering Aya-san's gentle smile, I know that they'll make sure Labras is alright. And so the incident came to a close. He really does. The following day, May 4th, Kirijo-san had stayed the night pursuing a follow-up investigation and is going back to the city today. We learned from none other than Labras, who had called us all, wanting to say goodbye in person. And of course, we were obliged to see them all. At an intersection just outside the shopping district, we gathered by that also familiar limousine to exchange parting words with Labras.
Sorry for causing you guys so much trouble.
What are you saying? I had a blast meeting you, Labby-chan.
Likewise. But I can't believe you didn't notice at all that Kirijo-san was searching high and low for you. You're so thick.
That is mysterious. I wouldn't hesitate to answer the call of such a beautiful woman.
Good lord. Yeah, that whole too familiar right by the painfully familiar gas station. Ah, yes, the gas station.
It must have been because I was having so much fun talking with Labby-chan.
God damn it, Teddy.
She never gives it a rest. So, what are you gonna do now, Labras?
If you need help, we don't mind sheltering you. Yukiko's house is a great hideout. Thanks. But I'm planning on working with Mitsuru-san. We're gonna catch the scumbag who tried to use you guys. This time, it'll be me that's got your backs.
Sounds promising.
Yeah, and for those not familiar, Labras is the main character of the P3 story of the Ultimax section.
It sounds as though you found a place where you belong then.
Shut up. Come back anytime to hang out, okay? We'll be here for you. Okay. Thanks, you guys.
Labras' expression is radiant. I turn around and see Kirijo-san and others watching from inside the car with gentle smiles. I leave the circle gathered around Labras and approach Kirijo-san. There's something that I have to confide in her after all this time.
I confess, I had known about the existence of the shadow operatives from the start.
As I thought. Well, considering what we've both been through, there's no need to keep it hidden from you anymore.
I kind of love the interactions between Mitsuru and Naoto. It's like the two big brains of these groups meeting.
Why are you taking the lead even if it risks your life? A woman in your position needn't.
A great many people were hurt because of mistakes the Kirijo group made in the past. I won't let it happen again. To leave behind nothing that could jeopardize the future. That's my mission. More than that, it's a vow I made.
I feel like she's speaking to someone else. Someone who's not here to hear her. She then nods to me. The sincerity in her eyes is all the confirmation I need. In my line of business, you rarely come across people who actually speak what they mean. People I would call noble. She is one of the few. Her eyes show trust in me, and that makes me proud to know her.
You've been a real help. About the next step, though, I doubt you'll back down that easily.
Who knows? It's not my decision to make.
I give a casual reply, and Kirijo-san shakes her head with a smile.
I understand that nothing I say can dissuade you, but I want you to be cautious.
Her expression turns serious. This is likely to be a personal warning about the investigation I've been conducting on
Of
her.
course, there are those within the Kirijo group who don't think as I do. There are no doubt a lot of dark secrets to be unearthed.
Yeah, they are.
The current Kirijo group has drifted away from the family businesses. I am only the founding family's daughter, not the strongest position.
All we need is Futaba to come into the picture, and we'd have we'd have like the triumvirate of the three big brains.
What an odd warning. It's as if you're showing compassion to your enemy. Well, I too personally hope you find success. You be careful too, Kirijo-san.
Just call me Mitsuru.
Of course, Mitsuru-san. Well, until next time.
The car soon departs in the direction of the highway. At Futaba, and then we've got a big ass think tank right there who can figure out anything. Yeah. We watch as Labra swipes from the window, believing that one day we'll meet again. After seeing them off, we head to the food court at Jeunesse. It's been a bit delayed, but it's time for you Senpai's welcome back party. These last few days have been full of trouble, but I can't help but feel that some sort of fate has brought us together in the end. Soon the topic at hand changes as to what Yu Senpai had said. We should reform the investigation team. Just as Mitsuru-san had predicted, it was the only natural reaction that to what we had been through. Not a single one of us objects to the idea, and we all talk about our plans to continue. By the time we split up and I arrived home, it was close to midnight. But I sat at my desk and turned on my computer so that I may compile my reports on the investigation.
What follows are my impressions of the organization called the Shadow Operatives, as well as their leader, Mitsuru Kirijo.
Also, I'm going to say this right now, Naoto is very pretty.
As a member of the Kirijo Group's founding family, Mitsuru Kirijo strongly wishes for the corporation's stigma to be cleared. Yet the Shadow Operatives are not ultimately a means for her to clear this stigma. Her first priority is to protect and save those who are at risk. The way she handled the lost cargo in this case made that much clear. Though discarding it would have been more advantageous and it would have been simple to destroy in secret, she chose not to do so. She sees the restoration of the family honor as a byproduct of her true mission. I will continue my secret investigation. It is apparent that the Kirijo Group still harbors many dark secrets. Yet I must note that no matter how their internal affairs are worth watching, we need not trouble ourselves overseeing Shadow Operatives.
What are you talking about? There are no dark secrets to the Kirijo Group. They certainly didn't blow up the city one time.
Mitsuru Kirijo does not shrink from the responsibilities she bears. We will never gain leverage over her based on her family's sins. Even if the true culprit behind this matter has ties to the Kirijo Group, she will...
I stopped typing and delete the last sentence.
No, this report is no place for conjecture. I suspect this is only the beginning.
And very much at the same point, we are done with Naoto's story, which means we can move on to the next story, the other big brain. Late November in the year 2010. The darkness fell without warning. At the same time, the previously busy examination room felt so silent that the man's ears hurt.
What happened?
He called towards the back of the room, but no answer came. After working for public safety for over a decade, he thought little could faze him anymore. but this was uncomfortably alien. Yeah, this is kind of in a way, this is kind of a natural progression from Naoto's story, because we go here again. It was no ordinary blackout. If it were, the faint lights from machines running on battery power, such as cell phones, would remain. But the silence disturbed him even more. He hadn't heard so much as a single cry. As he looked around, he saw a spot in the darkness. Something was giving off an eerie glow, as if painted in incandescent pigments. Oh dear. This isn't just any darkness, this is advanced darkness. Yeah, pretty much. Anyone who's played Persona 3 will be familiar with this setup. The shining spot was revealed as a small, strangely decorated box. One that the man had only just delivered to the forensic unit.
Forensics team! What the hell is...
He called out, still squinting at the shadow of a person he could see at the window before him. Yeah, all too familiar, yeah. By the way, extremely excited at the Persona 3 remake. But as the shape resolved, he saw that it was not a person's shadow at all. He had no words to describe it. At first glance, it seemed to be a coffin. Indeed, that is what it was shaped like. But he had never seen a coffin standing upright, tall as an adult, shining in like a dark crystal. Yet that was clearly what the crystalline mass was, squatting in the spot where a window clerk normally stood. And upon closer inspection, it wasn't the only one. At desks in front of the evidence shelf next to the reference computer, the objects towered everywhere, as if they had taken the place of humans. Definitely excited for that, especially if they bring in some of the quality of life stuff from P5. Yeah, that would be great. And I certainly hope that they do the same, that they do what I really want them to do, that they keep the whole thing of that they keep the whole thing of the answer chapter while still retaining the whole gender selection thing in from Persona 3 Portable.
What are these?
A chill ran down the man's spine. They're people, was the thought that instinctively came to mind. Was this the reason he couldn't hear anyone else's voice? Was it because everyone but him was...
What's going on?
Once the fear had set in, it wasn't easy to shake off. His familiar office was starting to look like a grotesque netherworld. That'd be nice, but I think people might be happy with getting a remastered version of the answer. Yeah, that might be nice too, but I've been hearing poor things about the Persona 3 remaster. Like, apparently there's some stuff they really messed up on. Though, honestly, it did look good to me, but I didn't play far enough to get all of the... to see all of the problems. Plus, original P3P was obviously on a small screen, so if there was, I didn't notice anything specific with the whole AI scaling thing that they were talking about. He felt quite sure that he had to get out. Quickly, he turned and grabbed the knob to the door through which he had just entered. But
What the?
it didn't budge. It wasn't that the door was locked, preventing the knob from turning the latch. The knob was completely frozen in place.
Is anyone here? Let me out!
The man slammed his fist against the door, yelling in desperation. But the sensation he felt was his fist when his fist impacted the surface wasn't that of hitting a door. It felt completely at odds with what he saw, as if a picture of a door had been drawn on a solid wall. Imagine being in that situation, my God. It was then that the man noticed that another light, similar in color that emanating from similar in color to that emanating from the box, could be seen on part of his hand as he swung it forward. Yeah, really. Honestly, I'm surprised he's this calm. It was a ring. And suddenly he remembered. When he brought in the small box, he found several bizarre ring-shaped objects within, each with an element imprinted on it. They belonged to teenagers. They kept yelling about being chosen by the spirit of the earth, and that they could summon the spirit of the planet itself. Wow, that's a throwback. While handing it over to forensics, he suspected that they might be rings. To collect the theory, he put one on, and now that ring was emanating the same eerie light as the box. So, what have we learned? Though he still had no idea what was going on, it was immediately apparent that it was directly related to the current situation. 9 rings given to the Lord of Man, but another one was forged in secret. The man grabbed the ring with sweat-slicked fingers and tugged, ready to pull off his own finger if necessary. But just at that moment...
Take that off right now.
What?
The man can't help but gasp. He looked around, but could sense no one inside the room with him. Where had the voice come
I'll
from?
be there to rescue you shortly. Calm yourself and wait there.
When the man calmed himself, he realized that it wasn't just a voice. The sensation was indescribable, and it was distinctly unlike hearing with one's ears.
Who's there?
Oh, pardon me. This is Mitsuru Kirijo. We met earlier.
She just casually introduces herself. Kirijo. He did not know a Kirijo. He did know a Kirijo. No, change the context of that entirely. And it was she who brought the strange small box. And that wasn't all he knew. The Kirijos were a wicked family who used their fortune and influence as a shield, a constant frustration to the police. Despite that, the man couldn't help but feel relief wash over him. Perhaps he might survive this after all.
Well, I appreciate the help. Just hurry.
After getting the muttered words out, he sank to the floor, the door at his back. Mitsuru Kirijo, if he recalled correctly, she was the eldest daughter of the Kirijo group's founding family. Isn't she the only daughter? I mean, as far as I know, she doesn't have any siblings. Maybe it was expanded upon in some spin-off or something. He noted that her voice had been far calmer than his, despite the situation they were both in. He sensed a measure of trustworthiness from her. And to think, it had been nearly an hour that he was asking himself why such a young girl had been chosen as head of the Kirijo group at all. The digital clock on the corner of the desk quietly announced the arrival of 10 in the morning. Normally, most of the staff would be out and about by now, but the entire police department was in turmoil today. It was only to be expected, with a key figure from the Corregio group visiting on unusual business.
Corregio, huh?
The Corregio group was a major trading firm, synonymous with Japan. They had links to all areas of business, as not a day could go by in the city without hearing their name. The clock had struck 10, and the clock that had struck 10 bore the logo of Corregio Electronics, and KJ was the carrier of the cell phone provided to every member of the force. A few days ago, the same Corregio group had made a seemingly insane proposal. The document was hundreds of pages, but a brief summary would read, "We wish to collaborate with the police on an unofficial department and for eliminating monsters."
It does happen from time to time. Famous businessmen end up advocating cultish nonsense in pursuit of their ambitions.
I mean, that is kind of on the nose considering current world events, but to be fair, Mitsuru is not advocating out of simple nonsense. Upon consideration, it was decided that the Corregio group should be invited in and to give their pitch. Of course, there was no intention of spending tax money on the outlandish proposal. The police's interest is in humoring the Corregio group lay elsewhere. The Corregio group had offered an incentive whereby if the police agreed to the meeting, they would provide a detailed list of the ergonomics research lab's artifacts, as well as actual samples. It was this that drove the official's decision. For there had been dark rumors bandied about the Corregio group over the last 10 years. So you knew these things were in a research lab, and you still put one of them on. You didn't think there was anything strange about that at all. Still, while a family-run business, some said that old man Quetzal Corregio had delved into paranormal research and was performing inhumane experiments. That is putting it lightly. Nameless NPCs are not known for their intelligence. That's true. The police collected enough evidence to test the rumor and had prepared many times to support an investigation. But every time the investigation came to nothing due to the group exerting hidden pressure, frustrating those working on the case to no end. The investigation's prime target was the infamous Ergo Research, the Corregio Ergonomics Research Lab. Exposing the Corregio group's dark side, it has been a dream of the public safeties for 10 years now. And now, Corregio seemed willing to hand over Ergo Research's tightly guarded secret it's on a silver platter. No one knew the reason for the sudden about face, but neither did anyone think of turning them down. They agreed to the summit not to hear out whatever proposal Corregio was offering, but as a stepping stone toward unearthing their past crimes. Time passed and the agreed upon time in the afternoon came. The man was tasked with watching over and bringing in the artifacts from the Corregio group. Though he would not speak with the guests, the police's plan afforded him a major responsibility, one that gave him something like a leading role. It wasn't long enough. It wasn't long before the Kirijo car arrived in the underground Porte Cochere. I think that's how it would be pronounced. And that is French, right? The staff there to receive the guest only shrugged at the long black limousine that would have turned heads on main roads. One of the youngest recruits looked towards the man and asked the question.
What's with that car?
But that was the least of the surprises in store. When the Kirijo group representatives stepped out of the limousine, she was revealed to be a beautiful young woman, no older than a university student. Not only that, she had attendance dressed in what could only be described as maid uniforms. All of them were young women, roughly her age. The scene mesmerized the various dignitaries presented to greet her.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I am Mitsuru Kirijo, representing the Kirijo group. It's nice to meet you.
Her brisk greeting radiated poise. From there, she shook hands with the assembled dignitaries in a manner that showed she was no stranger to social gatherings.
She's the company rep? Really?
The young recruit who was sneaking looks out of the corner of his eye muttered in spite of himself.
Their proposal said the rep who's coming today would be the leader of this new unit, but...
Think about it for a second. If she was if she was a representative at her age, she obviously did something to get there. I mean, realistically, she inherited the role, but still.
I thought it was supposed to be some hardcore armed response team, and she's leading it? Well, I guess it's better than some meathead.
This is funny considering Akihiko is sort of the meathead of the group. Or would Junpei more fit that role?
Shut up and hold your position.
But in truth, the man felt the same way. Certainly, the monster extermination unit would never be incorporated, but even if it were, he was sure this wisp of a girl could never do such work. Oh boy! How wrong you are! No, I'd say Akihiko, Junpei is the mascot and the dumb costume. Yeah, that is true. Eventually, the dignitaries entered the agency along with Miss Kirijo. All of them wore lopsided smiles due to the young beauty's unexpected appearance, but that would do for now. The dignitaries were only there to receive her. Their true objective was loaded in the truck and behind the limousine. The documents and artifacts of Ergo research.
Right. Start bringing them in. Roger, sir.
So, this is SCP-104, this is SCP-3279, and do not touch SCP-666. Just don't, under any circumstances. At the man's signal, his trained subordinate surrounded the Kirijo truck. They formed a line, smoothly passing boxes from man to man onto the building. The articles were of various sizes, with even a few that came in oversized metallic containers for aerial transport. The Kirijo group had warned them not to handle these things carelessly until any explanations were forthcoming. And yet you still did it! And yet you still did it! What the fuck, man? But in truth, the department was already being prepared to begin the forensic investigation of the object and even send them to the lab. You morons.
Are you sure it's okay for us to open these? The instructions said not to.
It won't be a real investigation if we let them hamstring our procedures.
I mean, he's not exactly wrong, but first of all, it would be inadmissible evidence in court. Because they were specifically told not to. They were not given permission to, therefore they shouldn't have. He's not wrong, but he's still an idiot, yeah. But second of all, there's probably a reason why they're in these thick containers and shit, dude.
Besides, I can't think of anything they could send us that we couldn't handle.
Famous last words.
Unless there's real monsters inside these things.
I will take foreshadowing for 500, please. The articles were brought in silent. The operation only lasted about 15 minutes. The man himself received the last item, the size of a jewelry box, and checked the truck to make sure nothing went overlooked before closing it up. Foreshadowing for 500. Oh, look, it's a daily double. That done, he turned and walked away towards the forensic room. Try though he might to maintain his composure, he couldn't contain the excitement he felt. For 10 years, the darkness of the Kirijo group had been a frustrating legend, like mist between the department's fingers. Their chance to investigate and expose them was here at last. And even the slightest evidence matched the DNA of those who had... And if even the slightest evidence matched the DNA of those who had gone missing, or the victims of the unsolved cases, victory would be theirs. The man tried to tamp down on his exhilaration, and took another look at the small box he held. There was no upper lid on the box. A pedestal-like protrusion at its center held a number of small circular trinkets. Their usage was completely unknown. What kind of research produced these? Just as the man was about to hand the box to the window clerk, he saw a wedding ring on the clerk's finger and came to a realization.
Are these rings?
We're not sure yet.
You didn't even know what they were, and yet you still put them on. You didn't even know what they were, and you still put them on. Is this how police are in America? Because really, what the fuck? Was handling that thing of evidence. If that was evidence, that would be completely inadmissible to court, because now it has your grubby fingerprints all over it. The man put on some protective latex gloves and tried one of the objects on. Okay, he put on gloves, but still. For all you know, that could have some unknown tech that could cut off your finger. After looking at it from every angle, its color and shape seemed to be nothing but ordinary. If it was meant to be jewelry, it wasn't very attractive. The man couldn't picture scientists in lab coat slaving away in a lab to create things like this. He went full dumbass and went, "Ooh, shiny!" Because I can't believe that anyone who would be in an investigation team would be this fucking stupid. The moment that unlikely possibility came to mind, the man felt somewhat embarrassed by his ignorance of fashion and accessories. But as soon as he reached for the small box to put the ring back inside, darkness suddenly fell.
Please step away from the door.
Well, if it isn't the consequences of my actions. The voice echoing in the man's mind and brought him back to reality. He took a few steps away from the door as directed and stood ready. Step away from the door. The more he thought about it, the stranger the order seemed. How did she know he was so close to the door when she wasn't even in the room? Suddenly, a chill filled the area. In mere seconds, the entire door was coated in white. She literally froze the door off.
Where'd this ice come from?
It had frosted over. The man couldn't believe his eyes, but the evidence was there in front of him. He could hear a slight knocking sound, followed by a crack forming in the center. The door buckled under its own weight and crumbled with a sound like it was like building blocks being pushed over. Standing just past was the Creature woman. She's rich, she can afford it. She walked over to the man with exquisite nonchalance. At her side was one of the maids she brought.
Are you all right?
Yeah.
We did give you fair warning, but it seems to have gone unheeded.
I'd like to imagine that, Mitsuru just stayed behind and was like, these dumbasses are not going to listen to me. I better stay behind in case something happens. The man looked toward the ring shining on his finger.
This happened because we touched that box? What is this thing?
You shouldn't have even touched it in the first place.
That ring gives its bearer an unstable form of pseudo-potential and allows anyone to experience the Dark Hour.
The Dark Hour?
The box itself seems to be a failed recreation of the Dark Hour. The effect radius is small, and it malfunctions when improperly handled.
The Dark Hour. He remembered that phrase coming up in documents the Creature group had sent. If he recalled correctly, it was defined as a hidden time, unable to be experienced by normal people, a time where everything stood still. According to the documents, it seemed to have occurred every night at midnight for about 10 years, until spring 2010, as if it was forcing its way into normal time. Before now, it seemed like pure fantasy. But could the silent darkness be the very same thing?
So you're saying those stories in that document, that occult-sounding stuff was actually for real?
At that moment, a voice suddenly echoed from beyond the hallway, past the broken door.
Who's there?
The man reflexively called out an alarm, realizing that the fear had not yet died down. What emerged from the darkness was the young recruit who had greeted the guests earlier and had been helping with bringing in the artifacts. He was staggering as if severely drunk.
Chief.
I just drank a whole case of tequila. It was a bad idea.
Hey, are you all right?
The man started to rush to his side, but the Creature woman silently stopped him. She stood between the two, as if protecting the man. Before he could finish, a surprising change overtook the recruit. The recruit fell to the ground with an agonizing scream. A black tar-like substance began overflowing from his every orifice. Ew!
What?
The ooze spread unnaturally across the ground and cohered into the glob. It rose up like a beast raising its head, and what looked like claws began to form. Its appearance showed clear signs that it possessed some malevolent will. I gotta admit, that kind of does look terrifying. The man thought again about the Kirijo Group's initial proposal. We wish to collaborate with the police on an unofficial department for eliminating monsters. Without a doubt, this was what they were referring to. And the name that came up again and again was...
This is a shadow.
That it is. It's a monster that dwells in every person's heart. They usually can't manifest themselves this way, but it's quite common to see it happen during the dark hour.
So the research to make this happen artificially. That's what Kirijo has been experimenting with.
Yep! Because Koetsu Kirijo was just that much of an asshole.
That did seem to be the extent of it. At the start.
At the start. The man couldn't prevent himself from shuddering, imagining the implications of her statement. Oh my god! Like, I'm gonna say this right now, kudos to the artwork. With a second roar, a half-liquefied shadow suddenly took the form of a fell beast. But where the face should have been was nothing but a mask, giving it the bizarre appearance of two creatures stitched together. The young woman, for her part, seemed not in the least perturbed.
Kikuno, my things, please.
The maid stooped and reached to reach something. The man wasn't sure where she had been carrying it, but she placed a sword in her master's hand. The blade was specially shaped, similar to the design of a fencing saber.
Going to fight it?
Stay back. This will all be over soon.
To you, this was the day that changed your life. To me, it is Tuesday. At that moment, as if understanding her conversation, the shadow squared itself up and leapt towards the young woman. Its speed matched its beastly appearance. In the darkness of the room, the man found it difficult simply keeping his eye on it. Also, by the way, you saw her freeze a friggin' door. Dude, this is clearly beyond your pay grade. Let her do her thing, yeah. The young woman did not move. Her sword remained lowered in the face of the shadow's advance. Of course, thought the man, an amateur like her could never react in time. However...
Tamisha.
What made you think she was an amateur? At a word from the young woman, some unseen force slammed the shadow against the wall. The man momentarily doubted his own eyes, for it hadn't been the woman who repelled the monster, but the silhouette that suddenly appeared behind her. It looked as though the being enveloped in sublime light contrasted the shadow's dark glow was a woman. Contrasting the shadow's dark glow was a woman wearing a majestic dress. The silhouette held up a hand toward the grounded shadow. Once again, the man felt freezing air fill the room. And with that, the shadow stopped moving. Frost crystallized all over it, turning it into an ice sculpture within seconds. Only then did the woman swing her sword in her hand. 2 moves! Took her all of 2 moves to beat that thing. A white gleam that should be arched, I think. A white gleam arched through the air. Upon impact, the frozen enemy shattered, and it had been crystallized as sugar rather than ice. The victory was so one-sided that the man hesitated to call it a battle.
Are you all right?
The young woman turned towards the man. Yep, this is not her first rodeo. The sound of her boots hitting the floor gave him the jarring realization that she hadn't moved a single step during the fray. Seeing that he was at a loss for words, she gave him a gentle smile. It was all too much for the man. He actually felt relieved to be protected by the small woman. One thing was obvious. She had been through countless battles, much like the one he just witnessed. Yeah, she is the most experienced member of SEAS.
Your fallen employee's life is in no danger, but he'll be very weak. Make sure he gets to a hospital. Should I make the arrangements?
Also, probably should have him treated for frostbite. That priest was probably very nasty.
No, I should at least handle that. It is a public security matter.
With a nod, the young woman approached the small box and manipulated it in a way he couldn't quite match. The eerie yellow-green light began to fade. Moments later, the silence and darkness faded too. The world had been restored. The man felt his body become suddenly lighter, causing him to breathe a sigh of relief. I gotta wonder, did this happen before or after Naoto's meeting with him? He hadn't realized until the pressure was gone and that the air had been suffocating, as if he had been underwater. Because it doesn't make sense that he went higher. I would imagine this is before. Yeah, it's weird that he would have them investigated if he experienced this before, unless he was thinking this was some kind of high-class con or something. But at the same time, the time wouldn't match if it was, because there's the shadow operatives were clearly a thing for a while. And this is clearly before the shadow operatives were formed. There was a stir of movement in the room. The forensics team and the assistants looked at the man and young woman perplexed. The man took a quick look around. Fragments of the shattered door were strewn about. A young public security worker was lying unconscious nearby. And their Kirijo guest, who had entered without anyone noticing, held in her hand a drawn sword.
I'd be shocked too if I were them.
Fair. It occurred to him that if normal people couldn't sense the dark hour, the sudden change in circumstances may have seemed to them like some magic trick. Either that, or he was investigating specifically. He wanted to investigate Mitsuru to make sure she wasn't in fact responsible for these events.
Excuse me, but this place is off limits to all unauthorized personnel.
Kudos to this guy for telling Mitsuru that while she has a sword.
Hey, what's going on here?
The forensic staff looked at the man helplessly.
Right, we had a little emergency.
Oh.
That aside, halt all examination of the relics they brought in. We'll wait for further instructions from the Kirijo group.
Should have done that before.
Huh? But you said...
If there are any boxes that are closed, don't force them open. Not if you don't want to come face to face with monsters.
Leaving the frowning forensics team behind him, the man quickly went into the hallway with the Karijo woman.
I have to thank you for your help. And about the conference, I'll join in as well. It's been arranged so nothing you say would get through to the higher-ups.
If the young woman was surprised at what had amounted to a confession of betrayal, she didn't show
Are
it.
you saying you will reconsider your plans?
I can't overlook anything as serious as this. I wouldn't be doing my job as public security if I did. But make no mistake, the things I saw today are proof of the sins the Kirijo group has committed. They can't be punished under the law, but now that they're known, atonement will be made in some shape or form.
Indeed. I never intended anything less.
You really put one over on us this time. Oh, there's no need to be coy. What happened today was no accident, was it? We'd never have believed the reports unless we saw it in person. That's why such a dangerous box had no lid. Am I wrong?
I would say more that you guys being idiots were well within her expectation.
There was no lid. That's not possible. That box was classified as risk level 3. It should have been securely fastened.
The young woman fell silent, then gave them a walking silently behind her a look.
Kikuno.
The maid continued without the slightest sign of remorse and left her master behind. But the man and the young woman sighed at once.
Us guys in public security have a reputation for being tough. But it seems like you guys are no slouches yourselves.
Dude, you can't even begin to you can't even begin to match her level. The summit was meant to be a perfunctory refusal. The summit that was meant to be a perfunctory refusal took an unexpected turn. Promises were made to continue the talks. 6 months passed. Yeah, so this definitely was before. After many opportunities to show the actual samples of the to the dignitaries were set up, the proposed special unit was established and mostly the form Karijo requested. The security department, the Shadow Response Unit. It was an inauguration of the special unit that would, in time, be nicknamed the Shadow Operatives. Every time I look at this, I see, like, initially, yeah, there's an awesome picture, then I just see Junpei slouching like that. Indeed, the Shadow Operatives. I'm quite fond of the name. Not that I normally pay much heed to these things, but in this case, I admitted to being pleased. It started as sarcasm on part of the higher-ranked personnel from the police. It could be taken to mean those who deal with shadows, but the real meaning is those who operate in the shadows. I mean, both are technically correct. Not only is the unit unofficial, we have the difficult to credit job of exterminating monsters. Mostly, I suspect there was a dig at the group. At a group that disturbed the expected peaceful years of the older personnel's retirement. The Shadow Operative Shadow Operative could mean one who does unrewarded, albeit crucial work for society. It's a name truly befitting of this organization's goals. We're approaching the first anniversary of the Shadow Operatives establishment. Though we're still at the level of basic investigation and laying groundwork, it seems a full-scale case has arisen.
Fighting is not our first option, but I'd be more reassured with you there. We have a general idea of where it was taken, the Inaba area, where there were reports of suspected shadow activity last year.
Good as it is to hear from an odd, reliable friend, I limit the call to a quick exchange of
I'll
information.
send you the precise location later. Sorry to call when you've just returned from a trip, but I'm relying on your assistance.
Yeah, this is when she was. When she was calling Akihiko. I close my cell and turn towards my colleague.
He's only just returned and he's going directly to the location from the airport. Akihiko never changes.
The man I was on the phone with just now was Akihiko Sanada. He's one of our non-permanent staff. Akihiko is an excellent Persona user, but beyond that, he's a skilled boxer. He's a friend of mine from high school who fought the shadows alongside me. I admire his strict determination to never neglect his training, but the extreme lengths he goes to can be rather inconvenient. After entering college, she accepted my invitation to be one of the founding shadow operatives, but it was his actions afterward that went above and beyond. Sure, I'll join, but if I'm going to use my strength professionally, I want to get my skills to a level I'm happy with first. Thus began his training expedition. He's not only wandering the country, he's traveling the entire world. I can't decide whether to be dumbfounded or impressed by his dedication to training. All of this to say that he only just returned to Japan to take part in this operation. I gave a wry smile and leaned back in my chair. Seeing me relax, the girl watching nearby smiles. This is Igus, known for her blonde hair and piercing blue eyes. P3 best girl! She's a sweet girl on the outside, but she has what it takes to be an important member of the squad.
Will we be able to find Labris? My sister?
When I look over at Igus, her eyes are cast downward with a worried expression.
Able to save her. Isn't that what you really want to ask?
She must have known once I called Akihiko in as backup. There is a possibility that we will have to fight Labris. Knowing that, it's not a great leap to imagine that in the worst case, she may have to be destroyed. And alas, it's true. If all else fails, and our security and our safety is at risk, with no other way to stop her, that option is on the table. Still.
Don't worry. As I mentioned to Akihiko, fighting Labris is not our priority. The reason I formed this shadow operative team is to save lives. We will find her, whatever it takes, and bring her back. We can do this.
Yes. I'm sorry to be so pessimistic.
Those feelings you have for Labris, you should tell her when you see her.
I will.
The monitor is showing certain data under multiple redundant encryptions. Kirijo Ergonomics Research Lab, confidential matters. There is, in fact, the reason I'm reviewing these materials that are normally security concealed. Because 2 days ago, on May 1st, I was unexpectedly dragged into a serious incident. The passenger plane I was taking to Kagoshima was hijacked. There hasn't been a domestic hijacking for 10 years. The top brass of the police, afraid to make any mistakes, sent in the shadow operatives, and the case itself was resolved quickly, and all the culprits arrested, thanks to P3 Best Girl. None of the passengers were harmed either. But the hijackers' true motive wasn't terrorism or political demands, as one would expect. I was surprised to find that they were really after my cargo. It was a sealed box from the ergonomics research lab. We were transporting it to Yakushima on that flight. None thought that the risky hijacking could have been in pursuit of just the cargo. And as a result, one of the objects was stolen. The arrested suspects are all in police custody, but none of them have any memory of carrying out the crime. Someone was pulling their strings, and very probably using uncommon methods. Considering that Puppet Master was targeting shadow-related cargo, I doubt they'll be easy to deal with. As for what was stolen, I just mentioned its name a moment ago. The 5th generation anti-shadow suppression weapon Labris is an older model from 2 generations ago. Some shadow-related ergo research documents were lost in an accident. We know little about Labris. She is an android, most likely a female version, just like Igus. But instead of a weapons loadout, she seemed to have been fitted with some kind of experimental equipment. That's all we know. Still, thanks to our collaborator's quick wit, the escaping vehicle was traced to the end system. It wasn't easy, but we managed to pinpoint its location. It was headed for the city of Inaba, where there may have been shadow activity last year. Once the preparations to depart are complete, I'll head there myself. My mind wanders a bit. Though I was unaware of them, the shadow of the sins committed in the Kirijo name is still so painful, 10 years on, that I sometimes want to avert my eyes. But now is not the time to be bound by the past. Now is the time to act. I suddenly notice that Iga has been staring at me worriedly. I give her a smile and stand up decisively. We are pulling up to Yaso Inaba, the central town of Inaba. Okay, I'm going to quickly take a bio break. And I'm going to turn on the light while I'm at it. Give me a sec, everyone. Alright, I'm back. Though it's the central town, the main street seems nearly deserted, and there's virtually no activity to be seen through the car windows. It was confirmed that the vehicle transporting Labris was abandoned here, so our first move would be to confirm the situation. Or so I thought. I attempt to ignore the rude stares of people trying to get a look inside the car. Focusing on instead on the scent to my tea. People keep crowding around whenever we park. We've had to move it a number of times already. We didn't get a moment's peace until the car had reached the junkyard on the outskirts of town. As I try to keep from sighing, Aya speaks up from her seat in front of me.
Tsuru-san, our activities are supposed to be undercover, correct?
Yes.
For undercover missions, it will be necessary to keep all personnel and vehicles from being noticed.
Right.
Mitsuru-san, may I say something that I've been meaning to say for a while now?
No.
I just love how blunt that is. Like, may I say this thing I've been meaning to say for a while now? No.
Understood.
Igus's poker face is a perfect blank. Though I understand what she's getting at. I've actually wanted to say something along those lines to the people around me for a while. Still, it would be galling to hear it from someone else right now. So bringing the limousine wasn't even her choice.
All I told them was to give us a car with enough space.
They kind of went overboard with that.
Our contact has arrived.
The man approaching us, so someone who cooperated, whose cooperation I specifically requested. His name is Detective Kurosawa. Before I can welcome him, Iga speaks up.
My, this was not our designated meeting area, yet he has discovered us.
You want to know how I did it?
Lately, it feels that whenever Iga wants to voice her opinion to me, she intentionally puts on the robot act. They mentioned this at the lab. That if Iga still speaks in that stiff former manner, either she's getting too human and is developing habits, or she's doing it on purpose. Honestly.
I appreciate your cooperation, Detective Kurosawa.
Long time no see, miss. And I guess, was it?
Indeed. It has been a while.
Detective Kurosawa was an officer at a police box near the school we attended 3 years ago. He was shunned for cooperating with us and got busted back down to officer. But now that the shadow operatives are officially recognized, he's in their good graces again. A man who can be trusted beyond the confines of his station to solve a case, even going as so far as to bend the rules. He's a rare breed. Detective Kurosawa's his expression has softened while he makes small talk with Igus, which makes me realize that this may be the first time he's seen Igus in her combat form.
I shouldn't make you stand while we talk. Please, get in.
Sorry. I haven't seen you in a while, so I had a lot to say.
He must understand that we are trying to go incognito. So it's kind of him not to point out that our vehicle and attire are completely unsuited for that to that goal as he enters the limousine. He sits and does not even wait until the door is closed before getting to the point.
I found out quite a bit regarding the case you let me look into. First, I reviewed the report on the incidents from last year. One of the suspects mentioned the word persona.
So what went on here last year?
It's probably related, but I wasn't done there. Parts of this guy's testimony were even more outlandish. If you can take what's in the record at face value, it seems persona users can enter TVs within the Inaba region.
Enter TVs? What does that mean?
Just what it sounds like. You physically stick your body into the screen and go inside.
You can start your own talk show. Why not? It would be better than current talk shows.
He claimed there was another world in the TV, and dropping people inside it was the method behind last year's murders.
This all sounds rather absurd. I'm surprised it was included in the police report.
I got in touch with the detective in charge at the time and said the same thing. Apparently, the report was filed by a young partner of his at the time. He'd entertained the wildest testimonies like this one.
He sounds like quite the oddball.
If this was what really went on, the police would have had no chance cracking it. But that Detective Dojima is one shrewd guy. Even with all the supernatural hocus-pocus surrounding the case, he caught the culprit.
I had asked him to collect the information about the serial murders that occurred in Inaba last year. The shadow operatives aren't public knowledge, so I thought the local police would be more willing to speak with him. But the result surpassed my expectations. Though it is slightly frustrating to already run up again and something I'm powerless to achieve
That's all I
myself.
have for you right now. I should be going. I doubt either of us has time to reminisce over the old days. It's funny though. I thought the fighting was over, but you guys surprise me every time I see you.
Thank you very much, Officer Kurosawa. Why don't we at least see you off?
Oh, that's all right. I've got my own car. I doubt my department would appreciate your taste. If I ever showed up for work in something like this, I'd be the talk of the force until the day I retired.
Detective Kurosawa jokes with us before exiting the limousine, waving casually back at us. I had nothing to say to that as I watched him leave, rotating his shoulders to work out some kinks. I guess, though, felt the need to comment.
Mitsuru-san, this could be bad. Our sense of social aptitude is in question.
They keep hazing her about the limo.
Can't deny that.
What should we do now?
Yes. First, we'll need to test the claim that Persona users can enter TVs.
We are at a junkyard, after all, and I can see a number of consumer electronics that have been discarded illegally. Agus looks around and then points to a certain pile as she gets out of the car.
There's a discarded TV over there. If the environment does not matter, we can use it to test the phenomenon.
Wait, Agus.
Don't worry. I'm just going to touch it.
That's not what I was worried about. Agus isn't wearing anything like a disguise, and... No, I'm overthinking this. We've already attracted enough attention. Even if we leave now, without doing anything, our picture could still end up on the internet. Let them gossip about the strange people in funny clothes. It'll become some urban legend. My mind made up. I step outside wearing my special equipment. What I can see is that I followed her. She gives a small nod and stretches her hand out towards the screen.
Amazing.
Her hand. It's inside the TV screen. But the screen itself seems undamaged. I get sun and is swallowed up to her wrist, as if she put it into a bucket.
It's exactly as the police report said. What's it like inside? Do you feel anything?
Not particularly. No. Wait a moment. It's the same as mine. It's hard to say definitively since this is my first encounter with it, but I believe this reading is from a personality module.
Does that mean our retrieval target is inside the TV?
Huh. Sounds like fun.
That voice from above. It sounds very familiar. But all I see in the direction from where it came is a man in an outlandish red cape. I hesitate for a moment. Could it be?
Is that Akihiko?
The man leaps from the stacked tower of TVs like an acrobat.
Show up at the rendezvous point, so I went looking and found you here. This whole TV thing is pretty interesting.
In spite of myself, I bury my face in my palm.
Akihiko, what on earth are you wearing? What were you doing overseas?
Didn't I tell you that I was on a training expedition?
He just needed to show off with his his massive pecs, you know? Really shows gains.
Don't tell me you came here from the airport like that. Does the concept of keeping a low profile mean nothing to you?
Nope.
Mitsuru-san, I believe we have lost the right to complain about that.
That's it. I'm never mentioning the subject of our appearance again.
Anyway, we can go inside from that TV, right? What are we waiting for?
Still the same Akihiko. We don't know the situation inside yet, and we'll need a secure means of getting out.
So what? If we want to get this Labrys back, someone has to go inside, right?
Well, that's...
Our target hijacked a plane to throw her into a TV in this town. If we sit on our hands, it's possible we'll be put in serious danger.
Akihiko's right. That's exactly why we've been trying to act as quickly as possible since this case began.
How we used to be. We made the choice to fight shadows as professionals. That's why I traveled around the world and trained harder than ever. And now that something's actually come up, you're hesitating? We agreed to do this. I'm ready to stake my life on the mission.
Recklessly afraid to state his honest opinion. Recklessly unafraid to state his honest opinion. Again, change the context of that entirely. Classic Akihiko. He must understand that that is his role. Certainly, there are times when I need such opinions. And it's been a while since he went to Broad. I think I can understand his current mindset.
All right. Wait right here. I need to go make a phone call first.
Okay, but make it quick.
He honestly doesn't have to tell me twice. I take out my phone and bring up the contact list. A world inside a TV. I don't know what it might be like in there, but I do know someone that could help us. I was originally going to ask for their help after Labras was secure, but perhaps the time has come. Now I've taken all possible precautions. The rest is a test of our resolve.
The other members will wait here in the car.
Yeah. If we all barge in and something happens, they'll be devastated.
Now that you mention it, at least one of us should be staying behind as well.
I am not staying.
Us three will be plenty. We'll end this in a flash. No problem.
The same as always. Although, we have no idea what might be waiting for us on the other side.
Oh boy, do you not know.
Right.
This situation, it brings back memories.
Ready!
CPU usage 23%. Goddamn. Why is it so high?
Why enter the TV? What's going on?
Where am I? Is this inside the TV?
I remember being enveloped in a white light, but what came afterwards is unclear. This is the world inside the TV? Oddly enough, the site before me seems to be the main gate of a school. The name engraved on the entrance plate is...
Yasagami High School. I do recall that name from our map of Inaba. An existing high school has been completely recreated inside the TV?
I then came to a realization. I've encountered something much like this before. It doesn't appear to be much different from reality as far as appearances, but it has the same distinctive sticky atmosphere. The Labyrinth Tartarus, our battleground 3 years ago. It bears a lot of similarity to this place.
Wait, where are the others? Akihiko! I guess.
Being separated won't do anything to further our mission. Perhaps I can use my communication power to get in touch with them?
I can't reach them through my persona either. This place is highly unusual.
It's still barely functioning, but the noise here is severe. I'll need to understand this world a little better and find a quiet place to concentrate. As I check my surroundings again for enemies, I hear the sound of footsteps. I tense, getting myself ready. But then I turn around and, but when I turn around, a uniformed girl stops, looking at me in bewilderment.
Huh?
Oh boy. Isn't Yukiko also the Empress? I didn't expect to meet someone else here, let alone a seemingly ordinary schoolgirl. Could her age and outfit belie a connection to the theft of Labras? But once the girl's surprise faded, she seemed confused by my appearance. It seems that even here in another dimension, people are startled by my attire. At least her reaction allayed my suspicions. People reveal something of themselves when they're caught off guard. Anyone in an act of committing a crime wouldn't fake being perplexed so naturally.
Did I surprise you? I suppose my outfit is somewhat unusual.
Oh, no.
Why are you here?
Well,
A loud cheer suddenly swells, cutting off our conversation. Judging by the sound, I'd get there's a crowd present here. I look around the area in confusion.
Where is that coming from?
Oh no, wait, I think Yukiko is the priestess. Students appear one after another, clearly intrigued to see us here.
what's going on?
Before I can react, an image appears on the monitor, buried beneath the bizarre decorations.
Hello! Hello! This is General Teddy, your benevolent dictator!
And I, Rosette, am your commentator. It's time for the next round in the P1 Grand Prix.
Here we go.
Are you ready to fight?
P1 Grand Prix? Fight?
Suddenly, on the one in the ridiculous costumes queue, smoke pours out around us. On the one in the ridiculous costumes queue. A spotlight shines somewhere directly upon me. I instinctively raise my arm to shield my eyes from the harsh lights. It feels like I'm being displayed for an audience.
And who do we have for Yuki-chan's opponent this time? Ooh, it's a mysterious, beautiful lady!
Here we go.
How unexpected! Unexpected!
I think we broke him.
Teddy, what's wrong?
Do you know that bear?
The monitor showing the costume General Teddy suddenly fuzzes over with static. The static gets worse and worse, until an eerily expressionless bear costume, one that looks as though we forgot how to make facial expressions, appears on screen. The voice is the same as before, but his tone is harsh and mechanical now.
Case 04, unintended intruder. Entering elimination process.
What is that supposed to mean? Ugh, what's going on?
As soon as the abnormality registers, I feel a bizarre noise, like something scratching against my whole body. That was some kind of an attack? It didn't seem to have any effect on me, but the girl standing beside me underwent quite a change.
Who do you think you are, showing up alone like this? It's no use trying to talk your way out of it. There's nothing to discuss. You don't even try to understand anyone anyway. If you want to wall yourself off from everyone, I'll be happy to end your lonely life here.
Jesus! Why does evil Yukiko always go for the jugular? The girl's face distorts with hatred as she spits her words at me. It's a far cry from her earlier demeanor. It's as if she's a completely different person. And that's not all. Understandably, she seemed not to know me before, but now she speaks as if she does. What is this? Could it be the effect of the noise I sensed?
Don't be so smug for long. Come, Konohana Sakuya.
A persona?
The girl spread the fan in her hand with the flash of, and with a flash of light, a persona manifests. How careless of me! I could have accounted for this possibility as soon as I should have accounted for this possibility as soon as I saw her here in this world.
Be settling this peacefully, I see. In which case,
I ready my evoker and concentrate.
Artemisia.
Power rises from within me, and the sensation in my limbs tells me that my persona has emerged. But my hand holding the evoker is still at my side. My persona, did it appear without the use of my evoker to trigger it? Did I summon it only by thinking? Theoretically, one doesn't need an evoker to summon one's persona. I didn't have one the day my persona first manifested, and I've done without one several times as well. But never before have I summoned it so easily and without any special concentration. It's as if my consciousness has reached far beyond the boundaries of my body. By way of analogy, it seems like being able to control the wind with my fingertips. Could it be because of this world is special? The girl's voice brings me back to the situation at hand. Which reminds me, the girl doesn't seem to use any special implements to summon either.
Persona user. Fine. I still won't lose.
Sorry, but I won't be defeated either.
Here we go. I am not good with Mitsuru. Let's see how this goes.
Final. Fight.
I'm coming for you. No. What?
I love that throw. Ow! Hot! Very hot! But I'm too cool for you!
Better luck next time.
Once the battle ends, the monitor nearby switches on.
An irregularity has occurred. Multiple intruders detected. Emergency. Intruders are persona users. Due to difficulties in elimination, they will be acknowledged as valid targets.
He obviously refers to myself and the others. Does he mean he's going to adjust his tactics for dealing with us, due to how much of a threat we are? The way he said that seems like a bad omen.
Targets.
I understand that we're considered to be intruders, but what did he mean by that? It seems we're a part of the tournament now, but what was the enemy's original plan? The monitor's screen fuzzes again. Once more, it shows the costume person as he originally appeared.
Geez, you need to let me know if you want to get in on the fun. But this is a unique situation.
God damn it!
Just keep putting on a good show in your next bout, too!
Who are you? Why don't you take off that strange costume and show your face?
Hey now, I don't think a lady walking around in a cat suit like yours can talk to me about my bear suit. Enough with the questions. Move on!
Again, yet another person hung up on my outfit? It's unlike me to let the enemy's words get under my skin. The monitor switches off and with those cheeky words.
Thing the one who stole Labris? If so, then what's the purpose of this bizarre tournament? Fine. I'll get a read on your location.
I quickly link my communicator and persona. Some personas are more suited to operational support than direct combat. In my case, though, that power is secondary. We normally have a persona user who specializes in that role, but with some specialized equipment, I can get by. I focus my consciousness and send it drifting throughout the surrounding area. The enemy must think she's keeping an eye on us. He's keeping an eye on us, but he'll learn soon enough that he's not the only one with a bird's eye view of the situation. Before the layout of this place becomes clear, an unexpected change occurs around me. The moment I use my power, noise runs through the students that have been spectating. In an instant, they turn into something like silhouettes that barely have human shapes. It seems their true colors have been exposed. Are they not human?
What? Were they shadows? If they were, I don't sense any hostility from them. Were they just set dressing that thing in the costume prepared?
The cheering crowd would lead one to believe that there is a large number of people inside the TV, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Which leaves it a mystery. It may be best to consider it a blessing.
In any case, it appears that apart from this girl here, none of those students were real.
The girl who had collapsed on the floor is coming around. I release my persona and rush over to help her. I wasn't fighting to my fullest, so she shouldn't be suffering from any real wounds. There are many mysteries surrounding this girl. She seems to be more than just an associate of the one in the bear costume. The moment the girl sees me, she jumps back like a startled animal. Her speech is flustered. Her face is a bright blushing red. There are tears in her eyes.
How come you knew about that?
About what?
That was private. I never even told anyone at the inn about that. I can't believe someone I've never even met before knew.
The girl covers her reddened face in shame. I try and think back to what I said to her. Did I point out anything that would cause such a reaction? One detail jumps out to me. When the girl's manner of speech shifted before our battle, it wasn't just her personality that abruptly changed. Though we had just met, she talked as if she knew more than she should about my past.
Reminds me, that noise I sensed earlier is gone.
Yet the girl before me now no longer bears any of the senseless animosity from before.
It seems to have been some kind of interference from the enemy. Come to think of it, that bear was egging us on. The interference must have been to ensure two total strangers would fight. General Teddy, was it? He looked comical enough, but he certainly put an elaborate scheme in motion.
No! How could Teddy...
She seems to have finally calmed down and continues muttering with a perplexed expression.
You're not the one in costume, I take it?
Oh, I know him very well. He's usually not like this at all.
I take the girl's hand again and help her to her feet.
Mitsuru Kirijo. I've come here in search of a unique object. Why don't we start over? If you don't mind, I'd like to hear a little about yourself.
Yes. Oh, my name's Yukiko Amagi. I'm sorry for losing my composure just now.
So, Amagi, why did you come to this world?
Where to start? So many strange things happened over the last year.
At first glance, she looks like an ordinary student, so why is she here inside the TV? Amagi briefly summarized her recent past to me, and even tone of voice. In an even tone of voice. According to her, this world was prominent in a serial murder case last year. She and her friend awakened to their personas while investigating the case, and eventually solved it. This world is formed by people's thoughts, and at the case's conclusion, it returned to its original state. None of this contradicts what I learned from Detective Kurosawa.
A realm inside a TV, formed by people's thoughts. It sounds absurd, but that would explain the incongruity I sensed when I used my persona.
We thought the case had been solved, but lately there's been another strange program on the air. My friends and I couldn't ignore that, so we came back here.
Your friends? Are there others here besides yourself?
Yes, I was with 3 other people, but we got separated when we entered. The one in costume and the girl who called herself Rosette are friends of ours too. But they're acting so strangely.
So this is not the way they generally behave, then?
I can tell from Amagi's reaction that normally she trusts those two implicitly. Considering what the enemy did to her earlier, could they be under its control as well? Either way, it sheds no light on the theft of Labris. How are they related? Or is this incident only a coincidence?
There's one more thing I'm curious about. Have you ever heard the name Labris?
Labris? No, I don't think I've ever heard of that before. What is it?
It's the thing I'm searching for. What makes it problematic is that I know nothing of its appearance. Honestly, I'm not sure it has anything to do with this disturbance. Though I can't write it off completely as irrelevant.
Though it appears that there is no connection, and whoever went so far as to hijack a plane to steal Labris brought her all the way here. No matter how I look at it, that means something.
Thank you for your cooperation. I understand the situation better now. We should stay together going forward.
Whoa, think again, ladies!
General Teddy suddenly appears on the screen to interrupt our conversation.
Winner of each bout can go on. That's rule number 1 in the Grand Prix.
How exactly can that rule be enforced? As if to answer my unspoken question, Amagi makes an odd gesture.
There's nothing here, but I can feel something. A wall, maybe? Wait, but Mitsuru-san could...
Amagi looks at me expectantly. I take a tentative step and walk through the place where she claims there is a wall.
Like I said, you're stuck there until the tournament's over. Only winners get to go. Come on, miss. You won. So it's time to barrel forward to the next stage.
Good God. I must leave the girl alone in the strange world then. Though I'm uneasy about doing so, Magi seems to read my thoughts and smiles.
But I'll be all right. I fought shadows for an entire year too. I can protect myself.
I see. In that case, I'll press on and do my best to rescue your friends.
If you see them, please tell them I'm all right and they shouldn't worry about me. You be careful too, Mitsuru-san.
Amagi smiles resolutely. She's a very strong girl.
I'll pass that along.
I nod, acknowledging her wishes, and turn my back to walk away.
Only do they tamper with our minds. They prevent us from leaving until the tournament is settled. It may not necessarily ruin friendships, but there's no way forward than to fight one another. What a loathsome trick. It seems the mastermind is intent on us fighting each other.
I grip my teeth in anger. Amagi's clear eyes remain in my heart. This operation, it's no longer just to retrieve Labris. I make a silent vow as I go. Everyone who has been dragged into this must be rescued.
Another dead end.
As I step into the school, I realize that these invisible walls are everywhere, blocking off routes that seem open to the naked eye. Why is the thief who stole Labras gathering Persona users in this world? Not having a clear idea of their motivation is compounding my anxiety. Agus and Akihiko may have been dragged into this Grand Prix as well. If so, we need to compare notes. If all goes well, we may figure out the location of the mastermind behind this that I failed to grasp earlier. After quickly confirming that there are no shadows nearby, I link my communicator with my persona. I focus my consciousness and send it drifting throughout the surrounding area.
So lonely.
What was that?
The presence is faint. I can't tell where it is, yet I can definitely hear a voice. It seems I could sense it because of my secondary support capabilities, but when I focus harder, it doesn't seem that they're trying to communicate with me. It's more like the words and the intense emotions behind them are seeping out of the room itself, perhaps even from all around me. Eventually, the voice becomes clearer.
I'm scared. And alone. It hurts. Why? Why won't anyone listen?
I don't recognize the voice. Perhaps one of Amagi's friends.
I didn't ask to be born a machine. How come no one understands? What's the difference between normal people's hearts and mine?
A machine? Is that Labras?
I stand up and try calling to her.
Labras, are you nearby? Answer me.
But there is no answer. It seems that it's not because of the voice's owner or is nearby that I can hear her. It is suddenly different from hearing voices. It is subtly different from hearing voices with one's own ears. It's true. I focus my senses once again, but I still can't tell exactly where it's coming from. Not yet having a thorough command of the layout here makes it harder to pinpoint. Eventually, the voice fades. Only the silence remains.
She said that had to have been Labras. It sounds as if her heart has developed further than we thought.
Even Agus, the latest model, required a lot of time and experience to develop the heart she has. So then why does Labras, who has been sealed from her development up to now, have such an advanced heart?
I didn't ask to be born a machine. It pains me to hear that.
The anti-shadow suppression weapons. Both Agus and Labras were created as insurance for dangerous shadow experimentations, in case the subject should go berserk. The only thing that can stand against the shadow is a persona, and being able to control one is an absolute necessity when dealing with shadows. Thus, we are given hearts in order. They were given hearts in order to induce their ability to use personas. But a weapon that has a heart contradicts itself. It was natural for Agus to face that contradiction, and it caused her serious anguish in the
We
past.
can't allow victims like her to be tormented by sins of the past, whether they're human or not.
Newly resolved, I press on. I continue through the school, still unable to contact Agus or Akihiko. The invisible walls seem to be leading me towards the gym. Compared to the one back at Gekkokan High, this one is rather modest, but the chairs stacked to unusual height, to unusual heights, and the monitors everywhere give it an eerie air. Ah, the monitor is switching on again. But this time, it's not showing General Teddy. How strange. This appears to be a commercial for a fighting event. Here we go. A succession of young men and women are introduced as participants. One of them I recognize as
They're
Amagi.
wearing the same uniforms as Amagi. I assume these are the friends she spoke of.
All of them are introduced with horrible epithets, but the Amagi I met in person was a completely different, sophisticated girl. I suppose the enemy made up for tagline, so we don't even get to see it? What a crock! Just as Amagi's introduction ends, the video suddenly turns off, and General Teddy his face appears on screen.
I had to completely rejigger the bracket to accommodate 3 new contestants. Sheesh.
3 new contestants. Myself, Akihiko, and Aigis?
On the other paw, a tournament's more exciting with more people in it. But getting back on track, allow me to introduce your next opponent.
When I enter, someone who had already been there turns around. His face, it was on the video a moment ago.
There's people besides us here?
You're...
Holy crap, she's smoking hot. The thing she's wearing doesn't hurt either.
Good Lord Yosuke!
You were in that video just now. What was it they called you? Captain Ressentiment?
How come you remember that stupid title and not my real name? Figures I need a knockout like this, and she already knows about that. God, I wish I was dead.
Apparently, the epithet that's from the video hit a sore point with the people featured. The nickname felt more of an impression than his real name, so it just slipped out. At that moment, General Teddy appears again on one of the larger monitors inside the gym.
How do you like your opponent?
Why are you making us fight? What benefit do you derive from this nonsense?
So many questions. I just want you all to suffer. Isn't that exciting? Isn't that fun?
That's what this is about? No. If Labrys is involved, there's more to it, isn't there?
Enough jibba jabba. Hurry and start the fight. Look at your opponent. He's ready, see?
As the general smirks, a wave of discomfort washes over me. It's the same as that time with Amagi. As I glare at the monitor, thinking that more interference is at work here, I hear unexpectedly bitter words.
Yeah, Shetty's right. I mean, you're the one who barged in here. Man, who'd come to such a dangerous place without hesitating? You really are an ice queen. But you don't have many friends, huh?
It's happening again. The moment that noise kicks in, not only does my opponent's personality change, they begin speaking of things they shouldn't know about. It's exactly like what happened with Amagi.
You talk as if you know me.
Stop acting so calm and changing the subject. You seem like you don't know much about this world, so how do you plan to get out? Don't tell me you rushed in here with no escape plan. Oh man, seriously? You're nuts. People like you who obsess over responsibility and put all the burden on yourselves, you annoy the hell out of me.
It doesn't matter how others perceive me.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Isn't that because you don't trust anyone?
We clearly can't have a normal conversation with the enemy's interference, but even knowing that, I catch myself trying to argue the point. The heavy responsibility I suffer is mine alone. If I share it with someone, that means that suffering will also be shared. That is why I try to be self-sufficient. The more I care about someone, the less I'm willing to rely on them. But isn't that no better than not believing in them? I've been caught in that trap before. Maybe I still haven't truly escaped it. But how could he guess at my private distress, one that I barely confided to others before?
Supposedly an unexpected intruder. What's going on?
What are you mumbling about? Well, let me ease your mind. I'll end everything for you. Let's do this, Jiraiya!
Go, Yosuke-senpai! Beat up that shady lady! Let the fight begin!
I can see there'll be no talking sense with him like this. There's nothing for it then. Artemisia!
I love that where she's more exasperated than Naoto was. Okay, I'm going to quickly go for another bio break. Give me a sec. I'm back.
Finally. Fight!
What a fierce attack! Maybe stand
Still up!
on guard. One side is
Whoa! And
dominating.
stay down! Go, Jiraiya!
Ooh, the body joins now. Go! One mistake. Next time.
Still up! I submit to you, my beautiful queen.
In the end, the victor was no surprise. Aw, you're so useless, Yosuke-senpai. Unfortunately, the party crasher wins.
Ouch. The girl on the PA system is rather casual with her insult. Soon after, General Teddy appears on the monitor.
You're so strong, miss. I can barely believe how gorgeous and powerful you are.
Moving on.
It seems they're not provoking us only to have us fight one another. And their method. Is it more like an illusion they're casting over us, rather than some sort of mind control?
Still trying to figure everything out? Switch your brain off and enjoy the Grand Prix already.
Sorry, but I'm not some savage who enjoys the suffering of others. And don't call me Miss. My name is Mitsuru Kirijo.
Kirijo?
You've toyed with us, and I don't take that lightly. I'll make you pay for what you've done. You better be prepared for that.
Kirijo.
The moment he hears my voice, the face on the bear costume distorts into a mask of hate. I think that should be name.
You're the one who should be prepared. I'll never let you stop me.
The broadcast ends after he flings those words at me.
My name on purpose. He reacted as strongly to the name Kirijo as I thought he would.
I still don't know anything for certain, but I'm increasingly sure that General Teddy is related to the circumstances surrounding Labris.
First, I thought I'd stumbled into an irrelevant side incident, but evidently not. We were meant to come here.
Just then, the young man behind me slowly gets on his feet.
Ah, you're awake.
It seems now that the battle is settled, the interference causing us both to seem odd vanished. Hanamura cringes away, frightened. I can't help but shrug.
My. Amagi reacted the same way. Were the things that the illusory me said that harsh?
Oh, you bet. Wait, what? Illusory? And did you just say Amagi? You meant Yukiko?
Yes, before I came here. I was forced to fight her, quite against my will.
I explained the situation to him. I also add that we shared information. That she shared information with me on last year's case. That should help prove that I did encounter Amagi. Just on the off chance, I asked Hanamura about Labris, but he seems not to even know the name. Once we finish speaking, he stands up and places his hand in the air, as if touching something.
Only the winner can move on, huh? I'm the only one who can feel this invisible wall thing, so I guess it's true.
I'm glad you understand. I was worried you'd doubt me since I'm a complete stranger.
Well, you didn't seem like someone who'd try and trick me. I mean, what's the point? I've lost now, so I can't go anywhere.
Indeed. You're very pragmatic.
The young man waves away my compliment.
After what I went through last year, I just got used to coming smack up against insane stuff in this world.
This doesn't even register 0.5 on my weird shit-o-meter.
And Yukiko, my friend you met, she believed in you. So I don't mind trusting you too.
I see.
I can't help myself from smiling. Hang on, I do somewhat envy their bond seems to be real. I do somewhat envy the way they trust each other without a doubt. I could never have happened. That could never have happened unless they had overcome the same trials together.
Your opinion on something. What do you think is the objective of this tournament? That General Teddy said it was all in fun, but I doubt it's anything so simple.
I've been wondering the same thing, but I don't know. But you know, it might not just be Teddy behind it. I met this weird girl earlier.
A weird girl?
She was about my age, and she said she was the student council president. It was like she had no idea that she was inside the TV world. That doesn't seem very likely, does it?
No, I doubt one could be unaware of such things. It's possible that she didn't come here of her own will.
This may be a school now, but it doesn't always look like this. When normal people who don't have personas come in here, the world changes to reflect what they're thinking of. It happened every time a victim was dumped into a TV last year. Maybe this time she's the victim. Even if she means well, she still could have a lot to do with the tournament.
Girl, huh?
Judging from the state of affairs, I'm beginning to think that the girl in question is Labris. Since Hanamura doesn't know the details of my mission, it wouldn't occur to him that what I'm searching for is a humanoid weapon with a heart.
What did this girl look like? Did anything about her stand out?
Hey, B-Side, welcome to the stream. How was your day?
Huh? No, not really. She wore the same uniform as the rest of us.
A uniform?
Considering how Agus looks, it's possible that Labris's appearance is quite close to human. But what it does mean is that she's completely able to pass. But what does it mean that she's easily able to pass as a human? That she's completely able to pass as a human? Got my butt whooped by a master gamer. Ouch. Did anything about her stand out? Well, she's got gray hair, so that's a thing. Even Agus has to wear clothes that cover her entire body in order for her to walk around town. Yeah, Labris even wears the same uniform as them. Chalk it up to another unsolved mystery, I suppose. But after talking with Hanamura, it does feel like I'm starting to understand the bigger picture here.
Thank you. I'm getting a clearer picture of what's going on. I'm sorry, but I can't stay and chat. I should be leaving now.
Oh, wait a sec. Can I ask you a favor? Can you look after my other friends too? It sucks, but I can't get to them from here. That Teddy's really not a bad guy either. Sure, he eats my ice cream without asking and stuff, but...
That is the most evil thing, though! Off with its head!
He's not the type of guy who'd get off on watching people hurt each other. There's gotta be some other explanation.
Don't worry. I was already thinking along similar lines. What we saw was an illusion. It may be that they're faced with the same situation. I'll save everyone who's been dragged into this, including your friends, and this student council president.
Thanks. Just hurry before someone else dies in here.
Hanamura's expression, which had previously been bright, albeit desperate, darkens noticeably. From all I've heard, last year's Shadow incident revolved around serial murders. And maybe that he lost someone as well. To fight so desperately, but lack the power to make a difference, being forcibly parted from loved ones. I understand that pain all too well.
I must sound pretty lame, losing the fight and then making a lot of demands.
Not so. Your concern for your friends in a situation like this. C'est magnifique.
What?
I sensed it when speaking to Amagi too, but you all seem to have very strong wills. I promise to do what I can to help.
The emotions he seems to view as a weakness are actually a strength. I'm sure that with a little more experience, he'll come to realize that too. He'll see how difficult it is to hold on to that will and how valuable it is to have friends he can share it with. Since I am the one who will be moving on, I'm responsible for the duties he entrusted to me. As if sensing my determination, Hanamura's expression turns serious, and he nods. After parting with Hanamura, I once again proceed through the school. The invisible walls continue to bar my path. Undoubtedly, the enemy is leading me exactly where he wants me.
Is there no end to this?
The rules of the P1 Grand Prix are powerfully enforced. I tried to see if I could destroy one of these walls, but it doesn't seem as though I can. Maybe if I used all my strength, but even if I do, I'll be locked into a fight if I happen to run into anyone. Either way, it didn't seem worth the trouble. I strayed from the suggested route on purpose and opened one of the classroom doors. I sense no enemies, and it doesn't look like that I'll run into my next opponent here either. It should be safe. Once again, I like my communicator with my persona. This time, unlike before, my senses cleanly and smoothly spread outward. I sense one, no, two familiar signals.
Nico and Igus. They both seem to be okay.
First, I focus my senses to contact Igus, who's closer by.
Hear me, Igus.
Mitsuru-san, I am relieved to finally hear from you. Is Akihiko-san with you?
No, we were separated, but I've confirmed his safety. I'm sure he won't be defeated that easily.
Igus laughs upon hearing my words.
Let's exchange information while we can.
I give her a simple outline of the current situation. I mentioned the students that were drawn here. My suspicion is that this Grand Prix mastermind is almost certainly related to Labris. And what I've heard from of a girl who I'm assuming to be Labris.
I saw that girl a moment ago. Though I lost sight of her when the invisible walls blocked my path.
Darn you game developers! That's the umpteenth joke I've made!
I've been told she looks more human than you. Is that possible?
Not only that, she was almost indistinguishable from a normal person. I couldn't believe it either. Yet I definitely sensed a personality module. I don't believe there's any mistake that she is Labris.
Damn you, plot convenience!
I see.
There's no doubt that General Teddy has strong ties to Labris and the Kirijo group. But this girl whom we believe to be Labris is apparently walking around unconstrained. If he can set up as many walls, it should be easy for him to capture her too.
Not about meeting up for now. Under the present conditions, we'd only end up fighting amongst ourselves.
Understood.
I don't know how Labris ties into this situation yet, but be careful. Hello? I lost her.
Agus's voice trails off as my connection to her dies out again. I wonder if the enemy noticed our conversation and took preventative measures. Though the voice I'm hearing now definitely isn't General Teddy's.
Some other way. If there was, then...
That's the same voice from before.
Labrys, is that you?
It's happening again. The voice reaches me through my persona ability, and I have the strangest sensation about it. I get the impression that the voice is seeping out of the place itself.
Why are you laughing? What about this is funny?
Oh yeah, this was a thing. Starting with P4, I believe. I think P5 also kind of did it.
Who is she addressing?
I don't want to fight him anymore.
That reminds me. Hanamura said that the environments here are formed by the thoughts of those who enter this world. Could these be Labrys's innermost thoughts? Is that why everything about this place radiates her feelings?
What do you think we are?
For a moment, I experienced not just the voice, but the powerful wave of emotions. They bombard me through my persona's senses. A strong sadness, confusion, despair. I can't help but fall to my knees, though nothing is assaulting me directly. How can I describe this weight? One possible explanation crosses my mind.
She's not addressing anyone. These are her memories. I see. So that's what's going on.
I think back to what General Teddy said. That making people suffer is fun. Excuse me. I dismissed it as a barbaric desire not worth thinking about too deeply. But in truth, what kind of horrors would someone have to go through to emerge with such a stunted perspective?
I'm finally beginning to see the relationship between this tournament and Labrys.
In any case, I must proceed to learn. I must proceed on to learn anything. I redouble my resolve and begin walking again. The monitor suddenly turns on, showing a smirking General Teddy.
What are you getting so sentimental for? The Grand Prix's not over yet!
Then you intend to continue this meaningless farce.
I'll decide what's meaningless or not! Bring out the next challenger!
As soon as the general shouts, smoke gushes out, obstructing my view. It seems he isn't willing to learn to listen to reason at all. Not that I expected otherwise. Who will I be forced to fight this time? I strain my eyes to see through the smoke. It looks like it's... I remember that face. Naoto Shirogane. He was present as a police observer when Labrys was being transported to Yakushima. It was thanks to his quick thinking that we discovered Labrys had been taken to Inaba. If our trip hadn't been disrupted by the hijacking, he probably would have been with us in Yakushima. But why is he here?
Problem. I didn't think we'd run into each other so soon.
Is this another illusion? No. I can see that it isn't.
Why are you here? I'll answer that question later. It would be best to say as little as possible for now.
With that, the young man lifts his finger to his lips in a gesture to remain silent. Directly afterwards, that staticky sensation runs through my body. It's then that I understand what he meant. Once again, this noise will prevent us from understanding each other properly. He's probably also noticed the effect at work. Nothing we say right now could be called conversing. If we both understand that, neither of us need to take what the other says personally. That's why he called for a temporary silence. It's an amazing assessment, given the brief time in which he had to make it. Before long, as expected, the young man before me undergoes a complete attitude reversal.
Seriously, such impatience handling the grunt work yourself like this. Isn't micromanaging like this the style of an incompetent leader? One who can't see the bigger picture?
This isn't how he truly feels. I say nothing.
Silent treatment, huh? That's fine. I understand perfectly. You don't believe in people. Not a single one. You have friends and allies, but believing in them is a different thing. I suspect you'll never break down that wall. Shall I say it for you? You're actually scared to. The notion of growing attached to something and losing it scares you so much that you'll share nothing truly important to you. Even if you want to believe in your friends, you can't.
That's not true.
After the words slipped from my mouth, I realized that the argument is futile.
Why not simply admit it? In truth, you have your hands full just expiating your family's sins. You don't need the added burden of others placing their lives in your hands. Isn't that how you really feel?
No.
The young man smirks, as if ridiculing my inability to stop myself from responding to his allegations despite knowing the futility of doing so. But the smirk only helps me to regain my composure. The real Shirogane would never make that face. This is only an illusion.
No use continuing this. Not until I eliminate this irritating mirage.
I really need to figure out if I can decrease my my CPU usage during streams, because goddamn.
Finally. Fight!
Ow.
Too bad.
Much hurt. Much hurt.
I'm sorry.
Bullets are painful.
In the end, the victor was no surprise.
I turn towards the monitor on the assumption that General Teddy will appear to mock us. But for some reason, this time he doesn't. I'm not sure why, but it at least allows us time to calmly talk things over. I look towards the young man once again.
Getting through to you now?
Yes. The same goes for me, I presume. It seems we were spellbound until the fight began, as we both suspected. They disrupted our communications to drive a wedge between us and make us fight, though it's a mystery to me as to where it draws such personal slights for the illusions before us.
I agree.
He seems to bear no animosity and is willing to discuss things, but to be honest, I'm not sure where we stand. Why is he here? I can think of several possible explanations, but if he secretly followed us in, his candidness may prove dangerous. He gives a sudden wry smile, as if sensing my reluctance and trying to assuage it.
You need to be cagey. I don't intend to dodge whatever questions you have. You were probably wondering 3 things when you saw me here. First, how did I enter this world? Second, what am I doing in Inaba? And third, if I came here looking for you, what are my true intentions?
No wonder you've made a name for yourself as a detective. You're correct on all counts.
The first answer is easy. You know now that I can use a persona, allowing me access to the TV world. As for the second, there's no great mystery why I would come to Inaba.
You wouldn't happen to be acquainted with Amagi and Hanamura?
Sorry, I accidentally skipped that. I live here.
You've met my senpai?
Your friends. I gather that you're comrades who fought alongside each other during the serial murder case last year. I assume you entered the TV together for the same reason they did, and found yourself dragged into this mess as well.
Whatever doubts I may have about them, it seems they're here because we dragged them into this. I'm not very comfortable with that.
So, I must apologize to you. No doubt you already know, but the object we seek has been brought to this world. It's most likely the cause of this disturbance. Whoever learned of this world's existence must have thought it would be useful in whatever they're scheming.
You apologizing to me?
Shirogane shrugged with a wry smile.
So sure you can trust me. You have no guarantee that I'm telling the truth. And there's still the answer to your third question to consider. I haven't yet told you my true motives.
Fair enough. But if you're friends with Amagi and Hanamura, I feel I can trust you. Their bonds with their friends are real.
Perhaps I lied about that too.
But then why would you bring it up? No, you're no villain. That's what my intuition tells me.
You aren't at all the person I thought you'd be.
I'll take that as a compliment.
He smiled. His smile suggests that it was meant as one. It makes him look like his age, or even younger. I can't help but smile as well. He's not exactly the hardened detective that I imagined him to be either.
Teddy, who appeared on that monitor, is not our friend. He's an imposter.
You have proof of this?
I found the real Teddy. Our enemy can fog both our eyes and ears. It's possible they can make themselves look like someone else.
I see.
But I still don't know why they chose to take on Teddy's appearance.
Upon hearing this, I sigh and close my eyes.
Make you all suffer. If they led you to believe your friend betrayed you, it would make this all the more painful.
There's some truth to that, but it seems too simple a motive to warrant this elaborate of a disturbance.
He's wrong. If the motive is somehow connected to Labrys's memories, is what had been incomprehensible. What had been incomprehensible becomes completely understandable. My conclusion must have shown through my face, since Shirogane trails off in understanding. At that moment came something like a touch. It's a sensation I haven't felt since entering this world, but I know this feeling. It's the effect of It's the effect of being brushed by a persona's informational support powers.
Feeling. Rise-san! Rise-san, can you hear me?
Naoto-kun? So you ended up here too?
The voice that echoed is as much like the voice I heard over the PA system, but it seems quite different. The announcements must have been part of the culprit's tricks. This Rise's voice immediately turns quavery.
I'm so glad. Ever since this weird fake Teddy kidnapped me, I've been all alone. The others are fighting each other too.
It's all right. Just calm down and tell me where you are.
I think it's the announcement room. It's kind of off though. There are these invisible walls around and I can't get out. The fake Teddy was watching me until a moment ago, so I couldn't use my persona.
She seems to have been under the General's close watch, limiting her chances to use her persona until now. As soon as the General stepped out for a moment, she seized the opportunity to contact Shirogane.
We're in the announcement room now, yes? I'm headed straight there, so stay put.
Huh? Who's that? Why can I hear your voice but not sense you?
She sounds extremely confused. I had temporarily forgotten that my equipment prevents me from being detected by persona abilities to an extent. I prepared it after facing a new enemy with similar powers once before. It works by making my presence difficult to detect unless they know me well and recognize my signature. Shirogane senses her confusion as well and introduces me to her. His introduction is accurate yet concise. I can see he is a first-rate detective.
Wait, Kirijo? Are you that Kirijo?
Yes, that's correct.
The CEO?
Not quite. I am the founding family's...
You hired me for a commercial before. Oh, crud.
Thank you very much for your patronage.
That's kind of crazy to me that that Mitsuru or someone in Mitsuru's family just hired Rise for a commercial.
Commercial?
Oh, yes! I'm Rise Kuchikawa. I'm a classmate of the others you met, but I'm also kind of a starlet, and, it's hard to explain.
Rise-san, that can wait. There's no knowing when our adversary will return.
Oh, all right.
She sounds kind of disappointed there.
Kujikawa said that she was captured, but why would they treat her differently?
I suspect it was to block communication. If we could speak freely as we just did, their whole scheme would collapse. Ah, so that's why Teddy and Rise-san were the hosts.
What do you mean?
The real Teddy has a similar power. That's why those two were taken separately.
Not exactly. Teddy's persona is still heavily focused on battle. What the difference is his smell. I believe I mentioned this before. He has a keen nose.
Not only that, but by acting as the two who had disappeared, the enemy thought it could portray them as traitors. Though it appears that Teddy managed to escape on his own somehow.
How come I'm the only one fake Teddy is watching over personally? Sheesh.
You have the most powerful investigative persona. They must have had to take greater pains with you.
Wish it had more plot. Yeah, that's kind of the thing with fighting game plots. We are on the first, we are still on the first game story, so no, so we are still like treading through we are still treading through the same plot point as we've been going through a lot. It'll be more diverse once we get to P4A's story, though P4AU's story, I mean. But the reason they did it like this is they basically gave everyone in the roster their own story, and unfortunately, it has to be more concise and hit the same plot points.
I think we're keeping this going too long. We've exchanged what we know already, so I'm gonna shut down the comms link. Be careful, you guys.
I face Shirogane once again.
Responsible for this case. Rescuing the ones who've been dragged into it is part of our mission. Besides, she's another of your friends, isn't she? All the more reason for me to go save her.
He makes a small gesture as if searching for the right words. After taking some time to make up his mind, he looked me in the eye once more.
Quite prepared for this. It would be unfair of me not to tell you everything. Please hear me out. The reason I came here was to...
You're a real straight arrow.
I cut him off intentionally.
Very proud to be a detective, no? I can see it in your eyes. You would never sell out your beloved justice. If you've done nothing to be ashamed of, that makes us even. I haven't been entirely forthright with you either.
Kirijo-san. It seems I still have much to learn.
Despite what I said, I can make an educated guess as to his motives. He's a persona user. That means the police selected their observer as someone with the potential. If his only task was to watch over the transfer, there'd be no need to send a persona user. Leading me to believe that he's been asked to secretly spy on me or my organization. But we have nothing to hide anymore. There are many things that shouldn't be made public, but I'm sure his judgment is sound.
Then, I will once again entrust my friend's safety and the resolution of this case to you. In honor of the bond we are forming, Mitsuru Kirijo.
I promise that I will not let you down.
I smile back at him and move on without looking back. I know that there is someone up ahead to whom I owe recompense. There is no hesitation in my steps. I reach the third floor. After turning a corner and going on for a while, it finally comes into view. The announcement room. This is where Kujikawa is supposed to be.
Are you Kirijo-san? Kirijo?
Oh boy. As I open the door, two students greet me. One of them is the voice I heard through my persona. Kujikawa, I presume. The other is a girl I didn't see on the video.
That's right, Miss President. We'll be okay now that help's arrived. Kirijo-san, this girl got dragged into this mess too. We have to help her before that general comes back.
So you're Kujikawa. Sorry, but I'll need you to step back.
Huh?
I turn to face Miss President.
Made it last. Astounding. You really do look human. But you're not, are you, Labrys?
The girl jumps at hearing this. Kujikawa still looks unsure, but I can't drag her into this. I place myself between her and Labrys.
Huh? What do you mean she's not human? Isn't she a victim who got dropped inside the TV?
Labrys being a victim is one way to see it. But if what I learned thus far is accurate, then the one who set up this Grand Prix is most likely.
Labrys, our records show that you were loaded with special equipment. Undoubtedly a function that affects thoughts and scrambles recognition. That's why we saw and heard illusions whenever we fought. It would also explain General Teddy's appearance, and those who met you believing you to be human.
Special equipment? Labrys? What are you talking about?
Labrys' protests of ignorance sounds as if she's in denial about something she already knows. It's tragic hearing the desperation in her voice.
I'm sure the reason why you captured two people with analytical personas wasn't just to keep them from interfering with your designs. I came to a realization when I noticed I was the only one who sensed that noise. An analytical persona's searches clash with your ability. They dispel illusions, so you needed to confine them. You feared that if they caught you off guard and used their persona's ability, this would happen.
With that, I summon my persona, Artemisia. Just as expected, noise immediately runs across Labrys' body. It's exactly the sensation I felt before each round of the tournament. Artemisia cancels out the forces scrambling our senses, and the illusions begin to wear off. Little by little, the facade fades away, and her true appearance emerges.
No! What's going on? This can't be.
What was your motive, Labrys? Was it revenge in the end? I can understand why you'd hold a grudge. I caught glimpses of it on my way here. But your hatred should be centered on the Kirijo group. Why drag innocent students into your vendetta?
Kirijo group? No. I don't want to remember. Never again. Miss President, Kirijo-san, she seems to be in a lot of pain. I don't know exactly what's going on here, but you can't push her any further.
At the moment, Labrys grabs the equipment on her back that I had mistaken for wings. It suddenly separates and transforms into a giant battle axe that's larger than she is.
Miss President?
Get back! Hurry!
Labrys approaches one step at a time, her axe at the ready. Her steps seem uncertain, but she's moving with battle clearly in mind.
Against harming humans has been removed? I see. No wonder she was sealed away.
Behind me, I hear Kujikawa pleading.
Is there no other choice but to fight?
I won't let you do any more damage, Labrys. It's me you want.
Shut up! Shut up! I ain't like that!
We should end stream soon. I'm getting close to time.
Finally.
I'm very bad at that.
I'm coming for you.
Ow!
I'm coming for swarm escape! Better luck next time! I'm coming for swarm escape! Better luck next time!
That hurt a lot! Okay, so at the next save points, I'll end stream. Labras remains still. I can hear her muttering denials. She didn't use a persona, but it's possible that her mental stability prevented her from doing so. It might be a blessing in
I
disguise.
don't intend to turn a blind eye to the sins committed against you. That is why I must bring you back.
Labras is the mastermind. Not only of this tournament, but maybe the entire incident. What if Labras wasn't stolen, but instead escaped? Considering her powers, it is possible that she deluded the ordinary human... is it possible that she deluded the ordinary human hijackers? There's no knowing when Labras regained her consciousness inside her cage. What if she hadn't awakened and on opening it? What if she was already conscious inside there? She had been sealed for roughly 13 years. More than enough time to formulate a plan.
If that's indeed the case, it'd make more sense for this to be a plan devised by Labras, rather than an unknown party suddenly stealing her away. I can't imagine how much resentment such a small, artificial body could hold. A tragic mastermind, huh?
Huh? Mastermind? You got it wrong, Kirijo-san. That girl's not...
Kujikawa calls out from behind me. But just as she does, I feel an imminent threat rushing towards my back. I turn around in surprise. It can't be.
Looks like you've saved me some time while I was out running errands.
You're...
General Teddy gives an evil smirk. An extremely powerful version of the noise, far worse than before, is everywhere around us. Kujikawa squats down while covering both her ears. It's all I can do to keep from falling on my own knees.
What's going on? This is Labras's interference pattern.
Mm-hmm. That's right. As thanks for cornering the real one, I'll show you something.
The noise lifts once the mimicry is dispelled. But what it reveals is something I hadn't expected.
Another Labras? Why are there two of her?
I am a shadow. The true self.
It's Miss President's shadow.
I'm taking the real one with me. I'll never let you catch me.
Labras's double gives me a glare of pure malice before carrying off the original and fleeing the scene. I almost chase after her without thinking, but I stop myself and reconsider. That second Labras, who was that? This completely unexpected situation has me off guard. I can't decide how to proceed.
You seem to know.
First, tell me something. Why was she in so much pain? What's all this about Labrys and weapons?
I'm sorry, but that's classified. It's not for civilian ears.
Then I won't tell you anything about her. If you want to know what I know, you have to tell me what you know first.
That may have sounded too much like I don't care if she's in pain. It would be unreasonable to demand that she tells me everything she knows without offering something in return. And she's already seen Labrys' true form, so I give a small sigh.
I suppose you're involved now. All right, her official name is 5th Generation Anti-Shadow Suppression Weapon, codenamed Labrys. She is an android weapon created by the Kirijo group years ago. In order to use persona abilities, she was given a heart.
She's a machine? Kujikawa's shocked expression conveys her thoughts as perfectly as if she'd spoken out loud.
Let her run free. Just look at the trouble she's caused. We came to retrieve her and minimize any damages.
I hold back no details in telling her of the cruel experiments she must have underwent during her development. Kujikawa takes it all in and quietly sighs.
When she said she didn't want to remember, that's what that was about. Hey, why didn't you listen to what she was trying to say?
I don't know if I'll be doing any online battles. I'm more focused on single player stuff, but I'll probably do fights with friends and followers or something occasionally. Or rather, once I'm done with story modes, with the story modes of the fighting games I have. But this is pretty much a series. I just started the story. I thought it was going to be short. Surprise! Several months later, I'm still not done. I'm cycling through two fighting games just to give some variety.
She said that she didn't want to remember, but you kept pushing your demands on her and making her feel bad.
That's...
I pause, considering her accusation. She may be right. Indeed, I was so desperate to put an end to this case that I didn't listen to what Labrys had to say.
You gave her a heart because you needed her to have one, and then kept treating her like that. No wonder she's in pain.
Tears stream from the girl's eyes. As angry as she is, she's crying for Labrys. Even after seeing her true mechanical form and learning that she's a weapon, Fujikawa has nothing but compassion for Labrys.
Siding with Labrys so much.
I heard her voice a few times. It sounded like it was from her past. She said she was forced to fight when she didn't want to, that she was hurt and afraid.
I see. Fujikawa had also heard the voice, just as I did, when she used her persona. Fujikawa slowly tells me about what happened last year, the reasons why she came to Inaba. Due to her careers as an idol, she was cut off. Due to her career as an idol, she was cut off from those who knew her for who she was, leaving her isolated. But just when she had lost faith in everything, she met people who believed in her. Belied her, what? Saving her life.
To believe in, huh?
Hearing that brought up again, and is a sore point for me.
Miss President's shadow.
Fujikawa tells me the details that she previously said she wouldn't reveal.
The repressed desires you don't want to admit? Here, they take on a life of their own.
So that's why. Then what's her ultimate goal? Why did she take Labrys?
Shadows. They try to become real. It confronts the original with weaknesses to make them deny that the shadow's part of them. Also, it can take their place.
I see. Then there's no time to lose.
Do you think you can save her? A shadow doesn't disappear until the original person accepts it.
That's why I must believe in her and support her. Even if it's left unsaid, I still understand Fujikawa's desire. I share it.
Let me amend my earlier statement. I didn't come here just to minimize the damage. I came to save everyone. Will you trust me on that?
She looks into my eyes, and after wiping her face with a handkerchief, she nods slightly.
Make sure you listen to what Labrys wants to say this time, okay?
I fully intend to.
Kujikawa smiles in embarrassment. She apologizes to me for taking such a spiteful tone. I can tell she's being honest and sincere. Kujikawa promises to cooperate as much as possible for Labrys' sake. I decide to have her contact her friends and pass on a simple explanation of the situation. She agrees and adds that she'll try to contact Akihiko and Igus as well. She seems to have already grasped how our safeguards against detection by personas work.
With you made me understand something important. Thank you for that. It must be that smile of yours that catches your audience's heartstrings.
Promise me then. Make sure you come back with her.
Spurred on by her words, I begin running to where I detect Labrys ought to be, though I don't yet have a plan to save her. If I find her again and listen this time, will that truly be enough to save Labrys? The invisible walls are still here, leading me to the music room. According to the guide map, it should have been further away, but just as with the announcement room, the layout of this version of the school is off.
Who are you?
Someone else is already inside. He frowns upon seeing me. I recognize his face from the video. If the walls are still here, does that mean the Grand Prix rules are still being enforced? As a test, I hold my hand to the space where I just entered the room.
It seems we're locked in. The rule against proceeding without fighting is still in effect.
Are you Kirijo-san by any chance? Rise got in touch with me.
I am indeed Mitsuru Kirijo. As I recall, you were the sister no, your name was... Now, there doesn't seem to be anything scrambling our senses. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I accidentally cut that off way too early. I don't sense any noise, but it can't hurt to ask. He nods, showing that he understands the question.
You told me you were out to save Miss President. Labrys, her name was?
That's right. But I must act swiftly. There's no noise here because our enemy thinks we'll be hesitant to fight in our right minds. Would you mind conceding? I don't want to drag you into this any further.
I understand, but I can't do it like that.
Narukami gives a wry smile before his expression flattens again.
The rules are still in effect. My friends are still trapped. They still need someone to rescue them. I fought battles I didn't want and taken on a lot of responsibilities, which includes saving Labrys, of course. It's not that I don't believe you, but I don't think it's right to simply hand the burden over to someone I just met.
I see.
Sorry, this must be frustrating to you.
No, don't misunderstand me. I have no objections. I admire your willingness. With the final battle awaiting ahead, perhaps it's best that the stronger of us two should be the one to proceed.
The atmosphere in the area changes. Narukami senses it as well and readies his weapon. It's strange, but he reminds me of someone. Although his fighting stance, physique, and features are completely different, he still reminds me of the one who saved us and the entire world.
Look in your eyes. I will test your resolve with my sword.
I have to stop this as the fight begins because there's no reason, there's no way to go to the screen from the to the selection screen from the save.
Persona 4.
Okay then. thank you all so much for watching. It was good to make some progress in this game again, and we shouldn't be too far off from finishing the first series of stories. But it's after I finish the P4A stories, I'm going to take a bit of a break from this game, and then we'll move to another fighting game, or maybe even a horror game afterward. As I haven't touched a horror game since Halloween, and anyway, if you enjoyed the stream, please leave a follow if you haven't already. It helps me as a small streamer. You can also check my socials over there. My Twitter and Facebook and Discord are especially the most reliable ways to know when I'll be streaming next, because I'm at the mercy of SCOM. But now let's get ready for a raid, shall we? Hold on a sec. Gotta open another window for that. Okay, so let's see. We got Mayu's playing Don't Starve Together. We got Kuro who's playing Minecraft. We got Hishino who is playing Strive. I haven't rated Hishino in a long time, and every time I get the chance, she's always playing Strive, and I want to avoid the story. I can't take chances. I don't want to be spoiled, so we'll raid Mai. Oh, she's doing a collab. I mean, that makes sense. Don't Starve Together. Okay, so thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see. And next week we will resume with Final Fantasy VI. We don't have too much left to do with that, and I'll try to get grinding done during the week. So thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. This is Metis Balaska signing out.